now. It is today on behalf of Conversationists. Hello, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, hello, Chavi.
Yes, I think there is a little bit of connectivity problem. I'll just come. I'll just join you in.
Oh, oh, I see Shivo saying watching. Ram Shivo. I think Chavi's having a connectivity problem, so she's just joining in again.
Good evening. And on behalf of Conversationists, we it is my privilege to host Mansi Bhagdeo today, and we are very honored. And before we start, I just wanted to give a small introduction about Conversationists. Conversationists is not only a platform for therapy, counseling. It's a men and the initiative is for mental health and wellness, but it is also some place. What we want to do is start a movement, start conversations about mental health and wellness, and it should not be only not when people feel that they need help that they should be coming, but we should be talking about it. It should be the new way to converse. The aim is to remove the stigma and the many the stigma associated with mental health, and we are working towards that. And in those series, uh, we believe we had music. We called in people from who were different musicians who sang, because through music is therapeutic. And now in these series we have art is therapeutic, creativity is therapeutic. And today we have with us, we've got people here जिन्होंने अपनी adversity, who have turned their adversity, who've turned their challenges, who have channeled their challenges into creativity and have come out stronger and have maintained their happiness, joy, and are spreading so much happiness and joy through their creativity, through so many means. And हमारे लिए इससे ज़्यादा motivating इस समय में और कुछ नहीं हो सकता, but to talk to these people, to understand what their journey has been. And a small introduction, which I feel is it can never really capture the essence of a person. But let me just start with Mansi Bhagdeo is the co-creator of Ponto Life, a unique spiritual path for living an empowered life in today's chaotic times. She has played a key role in helping people discover their unique essence and integrating them into a cohesive community. Her powerful intuition helps people discover their subconscious blocks and dissolve them. She has a gift of relating mythological characters and tales to people and real life situations, and applies their essence to resolve real life problems. Mansi guides people to discover their unique fragrance by integrating tarot, astrology, and psychic talents. She expresses her longing for her beloved Krishna and her mystical experiences through ecstatic poetry. With her mentor Shivo, she writes mystical stories of ordinary men and women who go through unprecedented events, but their surrender to the divine, trust, love, intelligence, and creativity brings about transformation. in not just their life, but in all who their life touches. Mansi also teaches Kwanto Yoga to both typical and special kids using storytelling, asanas, mindfulness, meditation, and self inquiry to help them discover themselves. She has a master's in chemistry from Virginia Tech and a postgraduate teaching license from George Mason University. She has taught high school chemistry, including IB courses. She currently lives in the beautiful valley of San Marcos in California. Mansi, welcome, and we look forward to this. She is a poetess, she is a writer, and she's written a lot of stories. And when she does her yoga, with those small stories that you keep telling, and those mythological, we call them mythological, but whatever, they relate to a life. Mansi, welcome. And how do you want to start the? You want what is the one way you would want to start the conversation before I ask you for the question?
I would first like to invoke the love of my life, Krishna, my guru Shiva, and my dad Dadu, and all the Quantos who are watching, and everyone who's watching, and you for giving me this honor. I don't see myself as all these things. I just see me as someone who longs for Krishna. So
Very good.
I just want to invite them, and I bow down to all of you watching because you're making this moment possible.
So, Mansi, the first thing I would want to ask you, and everybody would want to know, who is who is Mansi? I mean, we want to know behind all these things and that smile and everything. We'll come to that. How do you maintain that lovely smile always? But who is Mansi?
I think uh, Mansi is someone who longs for Krishna. By Krishna, who Krishna is has grown with me. When I was a child, Krishna meant something. When I grew up, he meant something else. But every time I grew and he meant something, it didn't negate what was he before. It just got integrated. And as I grew, my definition of Krishna grew. So I would say I am just a lover of Krishna. And that is how I see myself. And everything I do is my love letter to Krishna. Whether I write poetry, which just spontaneously comes, I don't sit and write. When I write stories, I do sit and write. But poetry is after an experience. Whether I'm doing yoga, uh, my whole life is my love letter. It may have all kinds of drama. I'm a hugely dramatic, over exaggerated person. So, but my whole life is my love letter to him. So that is how I would say myself.
That's very I mean, it is very beautifully put. But Mansi, you have written one very beautiful poem on Krishna.
Mhm.
You would you read it out for us?
Which one? Because everything is for Krishna. Is it when I
The one,
specifically take his name?
yes, those that small couplet on Krishna that you wrote.
Was it okay? Uh, is it? Do you know the title? Is that okay? So I'll read you one. Okay. Okay. All my lives have been but only two. This was a time when a lot of people were talking about past lives,
Okay.
because in spiritual circles. And then when I was looking at what past lives or even this life meant to me, this is when this came out. All my lives have been but only two. In one, I become a prayer to you. In the other, you come as a blessing to me.
Oh, very beautiful.
If I have to read something else.
You know, there is one
Yes?
poem of yours which goes, "My love, my Krishna, I have seen only you in the color of the cosmos, in its
Yes.
light and shadow. I have heard only you in its midnight silence. It's enchanting music. I have felt only you in the Ras and the Ras. This is a very beautiful line. I just fell in love with this line. I have felt only you in the Ras and the Ras. I have experienced only you in the form manifest, in the form potential. Every journey, every pilgrimage, this life between lives, life after life. It is only a journey from my heart to yours. This is a very beautiful poem, and I don't know how it goes. But Mansi, how did you reach this stage? This, this balance, and there would have been difficult times growing up, other things. How have you turned your adversity into your strength, or anything that was a very moment, challenging moment, difficult moment, and how did you work through this?
So it all starts with a longing for Krishna. It all starts there. But what happens is, what comes, like I talked about the rasa and the ras and all, but that's not how it comes. The longing is there, but it comes as a trigger. First, it comes as a trigger. It comes as a crisis. It comes at a point where I'm at the cusp of something that is so overwhelming, and I want to, and I'm not a saint. I try to distract myself. I don't want to deal it. It is too overwhelming. I do everything and nothing works. I distract myself. I do other things. It doesn't work. And I have to stay with that. I have to stay with that. And at some point, it it just the transformation happens, the ecstasy happens, and then I write. But I want to give you a very concrete example. The only one time I have asked something of Krishna, the only one time was, I said, I was at the peak of my happiness. I was at the peak of the ras. I was in love and everything. Everyone would say the world is my oyster. And I said, I'm ready to be a mother. I want to be a mother. And I asked him, I wrote a letter, which my Guru Shiva carried to Dwarka. I wrote them, I said, please come. You have been with me. It is always you. So come. 2 months later, I conceived. 5 months later, we came to know that there was something wrong with my son's heart. That thing I would have probably overcome, but there was one after one challenge. It kept hammering on me until I broke down. He was the first 100 days of his life, he was in the ICU. He had surgeries, had many surgeries. This is my first child. So um this is how. So when I longed for him, it was almost that I could not experience him with who I was. I had to go through this. And when I went through the crisis, uh, at some point, and the crisis I always could feel even in my body. It was a pain somewhere in my heart, somewhere in this. It was too overwhelming. But when I would stay with it. And of course, after trying all the distractions which didn't work, I would stay with it. At some point, at some point, I would just experience, I would have called Krishna for this pain, but I would just experience him everywhere. I could no longer feel my body. Even my body did not have a boundary. Everything just expanded, and I would see him everywhere. I would see him in the nature. I would see him in my son. I would see him in my doctors. In fact, before Ishan would go to surgery, the surgeons here would meditate with me. That is how it would happen, and then they would go into surgery. So it is not something that I think about. It happens. This process happens. But it usually starts with the crisis. And when there is this transformation, I experience ecstasy. And what I have seen, and the experiences are totally mine, but sometimes, but my mentor has helped me understand and articulate it. So what happens is that I go through this crisis, and then at some point there is this transformation in me, and then I do see the shift outside in my life. In the real physical world, it will manifest. So there will be, whenever it has happened, whenever I have had an inner shift, it has, then it has, but at that point I have already, I'm completely in joy, and then I have seen it in the outer world. Does that make sense?
Yes, it is. It is. So, and so you were. So, if you can just a little more about then that 100 day, because it's an in the story. 100 days he was in the ICU, and then he came back, and then it was
Yes, yes, but it has never been, it has never been, so you know, you were talking about the words ras and leela. So for me, I always feel that, okay, you go through one leela, and then you have the ras, you have this complete bliss, but the other leela starts,
okay.
and it keeps going on, and but and every time it is more intense, but it is every time the leela is shorter.
Okay.
Just that.
Okay.
uh,
So, and continuing with this, so like you said, prayer has been, or maybe if a person who's been doing the ras and the leela for you, and was how do the others, suppose somebody is going through that same similar crisis or something, how does one
Um,
take,
I
how
would,
does everybody probably,
yes,
yes,
I would, you know, so there were many things I tried before I got here. So I had heard a lot of law of attraction, and you know, when I was in the hospital with Ishan, he would, you know, his heart would beat too fast, so he couldn't eat because of his heart problem. His heart would beat too fast, and you could see, you know, you could see the numbers, how hard his heart was beating, like 5 times more than a kid's heart would should beat, or something like that, or you know, 3 times or something. So I would see those numbers. So people would tell me, visualize a better number. Okay, I did that. That failed. I would ask for, you know, that, okay, you know, I'm going to intend, I'm going to say, all that failed. I even, you know, there was a Mataji. I even went to her. I even tried barter. I was like, Mataji, you can do miracles. You take, you know, I will for, you know, for 100 lives, maybe I will live a horrible life. It's okay, but you take my son out of. I did everything, everything I could. Then I tried to, you know, one day I said, my husband, my son is in the hospital. I will just watch TV, okay? And there was a show called, it is a reality show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It just came on. In that particular, oh my god, it's just coming to me. I haven't thought about this, but in that episode, this woman, she gets pregnant. She is drinking. She's drinking the whole night. She goes out with her ex-boyfriend. She gets pregnant. You know, one of those Kardashian sisters, the celebrity sisters, and she gives birth to a perfectly healthy baby. And I was like, what the what? I'm like, I asked you to come to me. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I have been waiting for this. I've been doing everything. And how do I have a baby who is, and this is the one day in Ishan is in the ICU and I decide to watch TV, and this comes up on the TV. And so what I realized, so how could I have, what advice could I have for others is, you have to be with that pain. You have to, you have to completely experience it. um, no, I did not do any positive thinking, no affirmations that he is going to get better. No, I lived in my reality, that this is what is happening right now. Yes, I have the longing that he gets better. But I am not saying that, you know, he is fine, he's fine, he's, everything is going to fine, nothing, because it didn't make sense to me. And I didn't even share my journey with other people at that point, because that's what people would say. You know, it's going to be fine, and it didn't feel that. So I would say, be with your pain, experience it totally, and if you are just being with it, at some point it will transform, and it will be real. The transformation will be real. What happens is, and you know, you're well, they're welcome to join Quantum Life, where we do, or you know, go to whoever guru who can guide them. um But what I felt was that if I kept on saying that he's fine and if he's not really fine, there are two different realities. One where which I am creating an artificial reality, where I'm saying that he's fine, but I know he's not fine. I can see it. So I am splitting myself. I am not even authentic. How can there be any art when you are not authentic? You know, they say Satyam Shivam Sundaram. What is that Satyam? It is Satyam is, I mean, for me, Satyam is not some world truth. How does the world work? It is my truth. Who am I? uh, it is this whole discovery of art and everything. It is every time I have done art, it is I have discovered in that moment who I am, in the crisis who I am. That is my Satyam. That is my authenticity. And every time some layer, some artificiality of me has peeled, some belief of mine has peeled away. For me, Shivam is transformation. I feel all art, everything happens at the cusp of transformation. Only when you go through that transformation, you will, there is art. You know,
Yeah.
the greatest art happens at the cusp of transformation. And I feel that the transformation is always, the crisis is always very narrow, it is very personal, it is very localized. And when this crisis is transformed, it is no longer personal, it is everybody's there, it is so expanded, it is so beyond you, and that is Sundaram, that is what is beautiful.
Very well expressed. I, because when we see this crisis of yours, it seems there is also a moment where, like you beautifully expressed, that there were two different realities. But there was also the scope when you surrendered to the reality. That's what I think Krishna is surrendering, because that's something that's a block that I have. I don't think I'm able to surrender it so beautifully. And you create every time. I mean,
There is this word, there is this word, which I have not come, I have come across it through the readings and everything. It is called Sharanagati, you know, Sharanagati, where you know, I don't think you surrender. You cannot surrender. It happens. It happens in that moment. It just happens. You can't say, okay, I'm okay now. I'm going to surrender. No, you
it
go
doesn't.
through that, and there is a point where it is just that the river is going, it's going to meet the ocean, and then there, and one day it has become a part of the ocean. There is
Right.
no river, there is no ocean, it is just the ocean. So, you know, I want to share, if I may,
Yeah.
something that happened when I was in ICU. I can read it or I can share it.
Can read
Um,
it if you want.
yes. This is so setting up the scene. This is when Ishan is in the ICU, um, and he and this is not the first. This is not the first time he. Okay, this was the first time he was in the ICU, but it was not the last time. Uh, so that is the scene, and I'm just going to read it. Brijesh is my husband, and I feel Krishna again. And the funny thing is, my husband is a Lingayat. They are all about Shiva, and he's
Okay.
the only one in his family who has the name Brijesh. So, another of his humor, another of Krishna's humor. I say every evening as I waited in the hospital lobby for Brijesh to pick me up, I could not help seeing happy mothers leaving their hospital with the newborn babies. On the surface, they looked just like me. Their faces were radiant with the fulfillment of giving birth. And yet they also looked exhausted since their bodies had gone through so much. But that is where our stories digressed. Unlike them, we would not be going home, leaving our heart behind. No colorful balloons, no big soft fluffy toys, no suitcases, and no baby. I had to say I could not stay in the NICU because it was just with the babies. I had to go home every night. I had just said goodbye to Ishan. I couldn't watch them. I couldn't watch this. I would never wish this on even the worst person on earth. But I couldn't bear to look at them. I didn't share this with anyone for a very long time because how would it help? They would just give me sympathy and pity, and I couldn't bear any of it. Not now, not on top of all this, not when I needed to be strong for Ishan. In a very vulnerable moment, I shared this with Shivu, and he said, I should bless these families. What? I was so aghast, so shocked, so stunned. As these words played in my head again and again, my anger raged like a wildfire engulfing my whole body. My whole body was in flames. How could you be so ruthless? Don't you have a heart? Can't you see how much I'm suffering? Can't you be kind to me? The world is not kind to me. Life is not kind to me. I went on and on until I exploded into hot tears. But I did it. I went through the motions. At first, it was only robotic. Then I could only bear to see the moms. I could see my exhaustion mirrored in their body. Their faces were still radiant. They had just given birth, the sagging belly that they carried. I felt a kinship, a sisterhood. I hugged them from a distance. After a few days, I started noticing the first timer dads, looking so much like Brijesh. It is so easy to tell the first timers. They had that not sure but ready to do anything, looking at their expanding family with pride. I couldn't help smiling. Sometimes I saw their kids so excited to welcome this new addition. I could feel my face smiling in spite of myself. And finally, after a very, very long time, I was able to look at babies. And when I did, they looked a little bit like Ishan. The more I would see them, the more they looked like Ishan, their face merging into his. And then, if they cried, my milk would flow. This is this is something that has happened to me in every single crisis. Um, After this, I am a very possessive person. If I had not gone through this experience, I knew I would be so possessive of Ishan. Um, like this is mine, and it would be. But I think after this experience, the one thing that has happened, I have all other kinds of subconscious and all other kind of problem, but the one blessing that has happened is when I whether I'm doing yoga with other kids or whether I'm doing anything that I'm doing with other kids, or even when someone says something about their kid, at some point it feels it is Ishan only. This is my kid. That's how it feels. Which was, even the doing yoga. I never see myself as yoga. I don't even have a yoga body. I still don't have a yoga body. How do you call the typical yoga body? And I would look at these mommy and me classes with kids doing yoga, and I wanted to do yoga with Ishan. And with him being on the spectrum, there is no way he would fit into that class. And I had that longing, and one day I accidentally go into the Deepak Chopra Center and I find myself in a kids yoga class. And that's how the journey started to get certified in yoga. And then I do it with everyone. So whatever I do it with Ishan, it finds a way to do it with everyone. I wanted to teach him mythology. And I call it mythology because for me it is a way to reach the subconscious. It is not that it is not real. I don't know. For me, the only thing that is real is my experience. And even that may not be real. So I call it mythology, but I wanted to share all these stories with them. But when I shared it with him, then I want to share with every kid. And that's how kids yoga. I do this in his school. I do it at every opportunity I get. Whatever I do with Ishan, it is always like a sharing. But that is not who I was. That layer. And I might be possessive in other parts of my life, and probably I'm still with Ishan. But that layer, you know, that layer
Yeah.
got crushed. And then the wine in me matured. But that layer that also had to get crushed. So,
This is, I'm just, I have to be silent for one more minute because it's very overwhelming for me also. And I think I have, so Ishan is a very beautiful and a very blessed baby, as are you. And I've seen one of your videos where you're doing the yoga, teaching children needs and special needs and everything, and it's so beautiful. And so, coming on to the next question that I would definitely want to ask is is this that you've written these small stories also, and even especially for children. So you want to read a few, one or two paragraphs from there, because they're very simple, and especially the one when you do the yoga and you tell them about the sun, and you're telling about
oh,
different planets.
okay,
I find that so fascinating.
okay,
These
so
kids, and I don't know, I
one of the problems in my life, one of the problems in my life is I can never do the same thing again. And it has to be joy for me.
yeah,
It has to be joy for me. And as I said, I have never left that Krishna that I knew. So when I bring that yoga, I cannot just bring yoga. It is what kids love, and I want to I when I do yoga, I'm like, what am I going to talk to the kids? I'm going to talk to them. Like yesterday I did a Finding Nemo yoga, because I and Ishan were watching Finding Nemo, and I was like, no, that's how I want to. So we did a Finding Nemo yoga where we did his whole story through yoga. And I tell, and kids, with kids, it is pure joy. It is pure joy. I don't have to tell them, let's pretend to be a fish. No, I'm like, we are a fish and they are fishes. When we
yeah,
breathe, when we breathe, and we are doing Finding Nemo yoga, we are breathing through our gills, and we have tails, and we move our tails this side and that side when we are doing yoga, and we are mermaids and mermaids. And even when I do, and a lot of it is spontaneous. So I start with like a theme. So I had Hanuman theme one day. It was
okay,
Hanuman Jayanti, so I have Hanuman theme. So I start with that, and then it's very spontaneous. The poses flow. I can find poses that speak to that. Sometimes I will do some creative moment, and at the end of it, I usually leave the meditation. We always do meditation at the end, and that is really what comes to me at that moment. It is very spontaneous, I think. And so I
even
wouldn't say that I do the yoga alone, because the meditation part I haven't even done. It is all the kids energy. It is their wishes, it is their longing. Everything becomes a part of that. So it is a vibrational field with everyone. I may be the one talking, and I also ask them a lot of questions. Right now we are doing the sessions on Zoom. I don't get as much interaction, but even then they are bringing in their energy. So for me, it is like all of us are really creating that meditation at the end.
So you have, because there you have, it's an inclusive kind of a group. So you have typical and atypical children, and so
Yes.
you would have somebody who has a little bit of maybe movement difficulty or something like that. So how, accordingly you customize it, or how the movement is, like this is for all of
So,
us to
so,
learn.
uh, so, so the thing is, I do teach also. There is Up for Cause, a special ed organization over here. So do teach for them, and then it is mostly special kids. But even the siblings join, so it becomes more inclusive. The parents join and
Okay.
I always thrive. I always want diversity. I'm never like, okay, there's only one, because I feel that adds a flavor. When you talk about someone may be able to do this movement, someone may be able to do that. See, I personally am very open about my, if I have an issue, I had a fracture, I could not put weight on my leg. So I told them I cannot do this. So that is okay. Sometimes I am doing a balancing tree pose. When I'm by myself, I can do it for 10 minutes without losing balance. But sometimes I'm trying to get the camera right. I'm facing the wall and I'm looking at the camera. I lose my balance and I just laugh. If I'm doing a tree pose and
Yeah.
I lose my balance, I'm like, hey, I'm a dancing tree right now. Oh, the wind came. Oh, look at me. So we have it. I mean, I am like, yeah, I fell down. Okay, this is my body. Here's my belly hanging out. Here's my this. This is my hair. That is so. So I am okay putting myself out there, vulnerable, making these mistakes, and I think that allows everyone to be authentic. When I often ask them about what are their failures, what are their this. I first share my failure. I first share my vulnerability. And because I don't think it is authentic for me to ask them if I am not there. I cannot ask you to share your darkness if I have not shown you mine.
Yeah.
I am naked. I am naked there in front of them. And and then I say, can you? Will you trust this space and will you be that? Will you? Are you? Can I hold your hand? Can we all support you in that vulnerability? So that is the space, and I think and I hope and I pray that the kids are able to feel that. And then so yeah, so that's how we do it.
And so when you were just talking about vulnerability and failures, do you think you've had anything that you would really call a failure in your life?
um you know, see, these are just words. These
Words.
are words. These are words. The only thing real is my experience. Also, I feel that for me, courage is the ability to show your vulnerability. If
Right.
I, for me, the courage is not to say, oh, I'm doing great, I live here and my son is doing great and this, that for me is not courage. I'm hiding and he is doing great, but there is also this. And so for me, vulnerability is courage. If I say something is a failure, it is not really a failure, because I have completely accepted it. If we have completely accepted it, then we have transited. It is not really a failure. I'm calling it a failure. So that is the irony. That is the paradox. By calling it a failure, I am no longer affected. Otherwise, if I was still affected by it, I would not call it my failure. So even
Very,
if you see
very,
my
very true.
poems, there is a lot of paradoxes. There are a lot of contradictions, and because see, the contradictions in real life will clash. If it is just on a level, it will clash. It is only when you can feel the presence of this divine, that time the contradictions also harmonize, even they become one.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
can say that my life is extremely challenging and extremely magical.
Yeah.
They both are true. I
So
have moments of great challenge, but I also have ecstasy. And there is a magic that did not exist before this. The magic has grown, the joy has grown. And yeah, that's what I can say.
smile, your smile is so infectious. Everything, everything, and it's like it's such a. I mean, the whole this session itself is taking me onto a different level of understanding, and
And
indeed
it
we
is
have.
also, it is thanks to you. It is you are, see, you are drawing this out of me. It is the way you look at me, that is what everyone is seeing. And that has to do with your eyes.
This is so beautiful. Thank you so much. So we're looking at how about telling us another one of your poems. There's so much of joy and happiness in them. So,
Do you
one
is
paragraph.
anyone is there anyone? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read one which I know you had told me to keep everything ready and I thought I did. Okay.
Never
Okay.
mind, I
No, I have one. Okay, so this is, as I was talking about the brink of transformation, right? That's where poetry happens. And I don't sit and do. So when an experience happens, I am ecstatic. I cannot write. There are no words. I am just like, I am dead, or I'm completely alive. I don't even know. Again, the paradox.
okay.
But then I come back to the ground. Tare come to the zameen, and then it just comes. I don't edit it. I don't. So it is not even. I don't think there are even rhymes or anything. There is no. It just comes, and I just write it. There is no really editing or anything. The prose, yes. The story, yes. But this just comes. So I watched a butterfly just being born, and that butterfly came into my hand from the cocoon. Its wings
Oh,
were still wet. Okay, this is the, I think after Ishan, this is the first where it just physically, it is
okay.
not a, yeah. So this is, we had gone to a butterfly farm, and this butterfly was born in my, we just serendipitously just landed there. We were going somewhere and we just landed there. So this is where I read. On the wings of serendipity came face to face with a just born butterfly, so overwhelmed in tears, like as the air, light as sun, walked up my bare arm like a whisper, like a caress, like the breath of the mother. Her story she fluttered from the creepy crawly caterpillar, oblivious to all, ravenously ate all day, surrendering one day to her, capital her, in her womb, transformed, transcended, reborn. Light, vulnerable, fragile, like life. As the earth awakens into spring, may we emerge from her sacred womb again. May we be reborn again. For me, this when this experience was happening, it crawled up my, after a while, it just started walking. And as it was getting reborn, I felt I'm also getting reborn along with it. And it had emerged from the cocoon, but I've said, aren't we all emerging from the womb of the mother? Every Navratra or every time we experience divine, isn't that again we are coming out of our womb? Isn't that what transformation is? And that for me, that was that experience for me. And I really bow down to that butterfly. I mean, uh, this was one of those times where I don't know if there was a crisis, but it was her transformation. It was the butterfly's transformation, and she touched my life. She went through that crisis of transformation. She went to that cocoon, and she transformed, and I got to be a part of her magic. I got to surrender to her and be, and experience the mother, Ma, Ambe Ma, or whatever you call it, the mother through her. So that butterfly is also, I mean,
Correct.
she's my guru.
It's always said that what differentiates an ordinary person from an extraordinary person is, or what differentiates an ordinary person from an artist is this: the sensitivity, the observation, and the feeling that, I mean, there's such a small, I mean, many people would have not even realized it, but you felt the wetness of the wings and you felt everything. It's such a beautifully expressed emotion.
And that is what happens, when you feel that wetness, when your body feels that, then your tears also flow. That is also a wetness. Even different parts of your body also start opening up and releasing their fluids, because everything opens up.
Yeah.
uh, you know
Yes. Yes. And so much of learning, Mansi. And I think if there are any questions, you can just write them if you want to ask Mansi anything. And it's been a very, very learning and a very transforming session actually, because so many insights have come in, and there's so much of joy
uh,
that it's like infectious. Almost everybody, I think, must be feeling very happy, and that blessing just
and
flows.
And Chai, you have seen this, like when I and Shivu were going to present at the World Book Festival, we were going to present Shivu's book, from Quantum Life from Chaos to Creation. You saw the chaos that happened just
Yes.
before the presentation. You
Yes.
saw the chaos where Ishan and my son Ishan and
And
was with Atin,
and
and Ishan was crying, and there was all this crisis. We were late. It was all these things were happening, and you were there, and you helped, and you were probably a channel sent by Krishna, by the universe, that that please, you had not even met Ishan at that time. It was the first time
yeah.
you were meeting him, and you were able to take care of that situation. And 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 that crisis, that chaos always happens before that creation. This is like even 5 minutes before. Like, I remember I'm sitting there presenting, and I am having contact with people in the audience, with our quantos in the audience, that if Chavi and Atin come, give me a signal. I need to know
Yeah.
this. And I'm talking about subconscious, and what is, how, I'm talking about how, Indians, how the British were able to live in India for so much time, and be rulers. And at the same time, I'm like, tell me
Uh,
when Ishan comes and I'm on the stage, hundreds of people. You will never stop being a mother. Everything comes with
yeah,
you.
that was moment. Mm. But things, this, yes. So there is a question. Rupali is asking, do you plan to publish your poetry? And uh,
Uh, so I so I think it might happen. It might happen, and I think you even doing this session is inspiring me to. It is bringing that artist in me again. It is, I'm feeling that tingling. I'm feeling the urge to share again through poetry, and write more. uh, See, for me, I may not be a dancer, but for me life is a dance. So for me, if I take one step, then I wait for the universe to take one step. I don't take the second step. So for me, you suddenly asking me out of the blue that if you will come for this, for me, it is an indication by the universe that, hey, look at this. Maybe this is the path we need to walk in. So I think maybe you have now made it possible, and you've been that catalyst, and this would happen. And if enough of people are are feeling that they want to see it, I think it will happen. I surrender that longing right now.
so it will happen then. I mean, this is just the moment. So we leave. She will publish, and the story, like your stories, which are published. I hope 3 of your stories are published, and there's more writing to come in. I also know that you draw, also you sketch, also, and
So
yes,
again, as I'm not a dancer, I'm not an artist, but you know what I feel. So my husband, among other things, he loves doing bonsai, and we, in this lockdown, we started going for walks.
yeah,
So when we started going for the walks, I started wanting to. So Ishan would pick a rock, on the way. He would pick a rock, and sometimes he would throw it in the pond. Sometimes it comes home. And then I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I can paint on it, and then it becomes a part of my husband's bonsai. So it is now us. It is our integrated. When that bonsai lives in the house, it is my husband's creation. But then I and Ishan also become a part of it, because Ishan picked the stone and I drew, and it is our memory and it becomes a part. And then I felt that maybe if it gives me so much joy to see it, maybe if I pick up this rock, maybe I can draw it and leave it at a place in the pond and all for someone to find it. So that's
Ah,
what I do.
you've just given me one idea on we have these sessions on what to do and how to and this is such a beautiful activity. If I have your permission, I'm going to be you know I'm going to be using it as one example of
Oh,
bonding
there is no
activity.
permission needed. I think that if this happened, I was just a channel for it to happen. There may be many people doing it,
Yeah.
and I think, and this is the joy. If you do it, actually, it will even add to me, because we are all connected. You are increasing the intensity of my experience by doing it. So you should not ask my permission. In fact, I should give you gratitude if you do it, because it will add to my experience, and I will feel that somewhere Chavi is also doing it
Very
and
nice.
bringing this joy to other people.
Yeah, I have to change my words because traditional, the orthodox, the conventional words, just I have to just leave them aside when I'm dealing with, when I have to talk to Mansi. I have to leave all those things aside and just talk to Mansi. And because unraveling Mansi, knowing Mansi is not easy, and it's yet it is so simple and easy. You've expressed so many things. It takes a lot of courage to talk about so many things, and we've had so many. I mean, this has been one of the. It's been a very, very energetic and a very, very. I mean, it's a very blessed session, and I think if there are any questions, we will take. Otherwise, I will request Mansi to give us one. What would you want to say to people who? What is your message to all the all these all of us, or the younger people who are going through so much and there's so much negativity around and everything else? What would be your message? Because
Um,
what would you want
uh,
as an artist, as a piece?
Osho, who's also one of the fragrances of my life, along with my father, who's my first guru, and Shivo, and so one of the things that he said was that if, and I'm not quoting exactly, I'm just going to give you the essence, because and some of the reasons why the words might be difficult is because probably they're difficult for me and I don't remember the words, but I never forget how I felt. That I never forget, but how I felt. I may forget the words, I may forget even the little bit of the incidents might get jumbled, but I never forget how I felt. So he said something like that, that if God wanted Buddhas and Krishnas, only wanted them, he would only create them. Why would he create you? Think of the importance he has given you. Instead of creating another Buddha, he created you.
Yeah,
How much God has honored you. Like how much he has honored your unique individuality, that instead of creating another Krishna, he created you. So I would say everyone that uh, follow your follow your unique fragrance. And how do you know your unique fragrance? How will you even know? You will know, again, I think, by Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Be more and more authentic. How do you be more and more authentic? Is that anytime you get triggered, stay with it, stay with it. That layer will get peeled off. Whatever is the artificial layers, whatever is the conditioning, belief, everything will start getting peeled off. That transformation will happen. And when that transformation happens, then whatever you're doing, it will be beautiful, it will be divine. It doesn't matter. I always, when I'm talking to people, I always say that, what action you do is never at important. What state you do that action? What is your energy when you're doing that action? What is your state? You then even the wrong action turns right, even the wrong guru turns right, even the if you are in that state, even the right guru will look wrong.
yeah,
so
absolutely,
so go
absolutely.
into that. So don't say, when the crisis comes, when the crisis comes, um accept it. Don't try to suppress it, don't try to put a positive spin on it. Be real and go through that. It is the hardest thing, it is the most courageous thing you will ever do, but Please go through that. And then whatever you do, it will be beautiful and it will be divine. It will be transformational, not just for you, for everyone who you touch. So that is what I would say.
Message. That is a very powerful message. And if there are any questions, we can do that. Otherwise, I don't want to end this session. I wanted to continue longer, and I would hate to do this, but some things have to be savored in small quantities, I will say. Um, and Mansi, thank you for being with us. I think I also told the people that you're a very you're intuitive and you're a very good tarot reader. I think that the first time you did that session and you told everybody, it is so magical, and that is what you are, Mansi. You're magical, and this was a magical session. And I think I thank you for bringing this magic onto this platform for conversations, and because we are also we wanted to bless this initiative also because it is for mental health wellness, and we wanted.
It is very much needed. And Chavi, what you said in the beginning, um, has really become the sutra for this whole, whole conversation. And you said, don't wait until you are in a crisis.
Yeah.
When I met Shivo, I was at the peak of my joy. I didn't meet him in the crisis. I didn't meet my guru in the crisis. I feel if everything is exploding and you may not even attract the right guru. You may
Uh,
not even, I mean, if you're in a crisis, go to someone. But what I'm saying is do it before. Don't wait that. When you are in that expanded state, when you are joy, that time do this. Uh, you know, that time go for this because then that energy will attract someone who is not getting attracted because of your subconscious, because of your trauma, but is getting attracted to the highest in you. Like, when I read that story about, not story, the paragraph about what happened, and Shiva asked me to bless this child. He was looking at what is my highest potential. He was not looking at my wound. He was not looking at, most people would be like, this is her wound, she's suffering. He looked at that reality. He didn't deny that reality. She is suffering, yes, but he also looked at what is the highest in her. What is the highest in her, and let me show her. I can see that and I was not there, but because he saw it and he reminded me. Or he didn't remind, it was not even reminded, he just put that thing. He said, you know what, this is how I see you. He shared his truth, his highest truth. I feel I was able to do that. I was able to take that leap. So I stand with what you say. I very much agree that do it before, don't wait for that crisis to hit you.
Absolutely. And with this, I thank you so much for being here. I thank everybody else who was here. And it has been one of a, yeah, for this wonderful session, Mansi, and for all the audience here. And I would just like to say that this is at Conversationists, our aim is to get people to talk about mental health. When you start a movement, mental health and wellness is something that should reach every household. It should reach every person, any age, and we all should care for each other. And let us converse and converse.
Yeah. Chavi, I
Yes.
just got a
Yeah.
suggestion. I don't know.
Okay.
You do amazing. It just came to me. You do
Yeah.
this
Please.
amazing work by bringing together all these artists. Um, so this is my request to you. Maybe you can, think about it. Or I can say I'm sharing my longing with you. Um, how how about going with us or anyone else, and together we all go into meditation or to this process together?
Of course we can.
Through this, maybe it is through kids yoga, and it may not just be me, or it need not even be me, but
No,
let
we
us do something together, And we are so blessed to be living in this age where we can do it through technology and all, but
Of
we
course,
do the meditation or this and we go into it together, and it is not just words but they
we will
experience
do
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that is my
absolutely.
request.
We'll do that. We'll call in people and we'll all do maybe a meditation session or something. And if you want to end it here with a small meditation 5 minute thing for all of us, just so that everybody gets a flavor of what mindfulness is or
Okay,
visualization, then you can. And we'll all just
okay,
sit and we'll end
okay,
it with that. So, with this,
okay.
thank you, because after meditation, I don't want to be talking either. And we'll just finish that. So, you can just make us do a 5 minute thing. We are all open to it, of course.
Yes. So, okay. So sit comfortably wherever you are. Just sit comfortably. Keep your spine straight if possible. Close your eyes and just breathe. I'm going to invoke our quantum vibrational field. If you want, you can repeat with me. Quantum, quantum, quantum. Since we are been talking about Krishna, invite him. But you can invite any of your gurus, devas, angels. It doesn't even have to be Hindu. Anyone. You can invite them for prayer. You can invite them to join us in this 5 minutes. We are going to do some humming. So breathe in, and with you breathe out, make the sound. Mm. So let's breathe in. Mm. Mm. Now go into the most intense moment of your life. It could be something that is the saddest moment, the most painful moment of your life. Time travel into that incident. Feel everything that is happening. Feel everything that was said, everything that was done. Now scan your body from head to toe. Where are you feeling it? How does it feel? You have invited someone who you think is divine to be a part of this. Just go into that memory, feel it in your body. You might feel something in your body at a certain place, and even if you don't feel anything, maybe you're feeling just numbness, and that is also a feeling. Just feel that. Go deeper into that incident. That is where your wound is. If it is numbness, it is just spread over all over. Or there is some suppression happening. Just be with it. Just be with it. Now, if it is possible, go into Shavasana. Just lie down, keep your eyes closed, and just relax. And whoever divine you invited, and the field is going to try to take away that wound. I will let you all go into this Shavasana and experience yourself and experience in everything that you were meant to experience. Namaste.